Republicans in the Senate are mad as hell right now. The Democrats would have the audacity to even consider filibustering Neil Gorsuch's appointment to the U.S. Supreme Court. Ted Cruz, particularly angry, calling out Democrats, implying that they do not respect the institutions put in place in Washington, that they do not respect the office that they hold, forgetting, of course, the fact that Ted Cruz is the guy who read Green Eggs and Ham, a Dr. Seuss book, on the floor of the Senate during a filibuster of the Democrats just a couple years ago. Here's the thing. Republicans are immune to irony. They are immune to hypocrisy. They don't see it, they don't understand it, because they're not that bright. They just know what they currently see and they don't like it. And maybe it's because they're so used to the Democratic Party rolling over that they've forgotten what it feels like when you get a little bit of opposition. They've forgotten what it feels like when you get a little bit of pushback. They've forgotten what it feels like to not be the big dogs anymore. And that's what's happening. Even though they are the majority in the House and Senate, the White House, and the Supreme Court, Republicans are afraid right now because they're looking around, not just in the Senate, seeing the pushback there, or the House. They're looking around this country. They're seeing the protests that took place at UC Berkeley. They saw the Women's March. They know that scientists are headed to Washington to march there. They're seeing marches for LGBTQ rights. They're seeing marches against Donald Trump's appointees. They're seeing labor stand up in the fight for 15. They see this, and they understand that their days are numbered. Because there isn't a single march or protest going on in this country in favor of a Republican policy. When was the last time you ever saw 1 million people gather to support a Republican idea, to support anything in the Republican Party platform? It's been quite a while, hasn't it? All we see today are people fighting for their rights. We're seeing African Americans stand up saying we're tired of our community being killed in the streets by police officers. We're seeing gay and lesbian communities stand up and saying we're tired of being persecuted against, being told which bathrooms we can and cannot use for the transgender community, having our genitalia regulated by the federal government. We're seeing women stand up saying we're tired of working harder than men and getting paid less money just because our genitals are different. Because that's what it all comes down to. We're seeing women stand up saying it's my choice what happens to my body, not some old frail white guy in Washington. We're seeing workers stand up saying that we can't live on an $8 minimum wage. The Republicans are scared right now. And when you have a majority party terrified, that is a great first step. And as long as these marches and these protests and the Democratic pushback in Washington, D.C. continues, we will see a sea change in 2018. We will see Republicans lose power. But that only happens if people in the streets and people in D.C. continue to fight.